Issue, please. Thank you.
Morning. My name is Martin Hood. I represent the security industry. I've been involved in the Firearms Control Act since its inception. There's a few familiar faces here. Nice to see you all. To the new chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, thank you very much for inviting us over here. We felt at one stage that we had been forgotten, but that's been rectified. Thank you very much. I want to make a couple of statements just to contextualize where we are, because I already see some trends coming out of this very short part of the process. The first one is very simply from Guy's presentation. And I never thought I would agree with Guy, Adele, and the Secretariat in one go. So this is quite an occasion. Guy's point, I think, is that with better policing you have lower levels of crime. That's a basic fundamental, and I think that is something that we should bear in mind throughout this debate, and that is basic policing, basic enforcement of laws. Before you go and start building other structures when your existing laws may not necessarily work or be properly implemented. I then also just want to comment on the commonality that I see between my personal beliefs and those of Gun Free South Africa and the Secretariat, and that is licensed a person. I heard the Secretary mention licensed a person, and it's a policy that I and certainly all of the other firearm organizations here would wholeheartedly endorse. License the person, register the gun. Then I want to just make a comment about the amendments. They've come up several times, and I know that here is not the time or place to debate the amendments, but I want to give the people present a sense of how I see these amendments. And I'm going to give one example because I think it will set the tone when we come to debate the amendments. There are some good things in the amendments. There's some very bad things, but we'll deal with those. But the Secretary has mentioned greater discipline over the South African police when it comes to their firearms. I've got a fundamental problem with that, and I think this goes to the very root of what we're going to discuss. Because in the suggested amendments, a police officer is only going to be subjected to an internal inquiry if he loses his firearm, whereas the rest of us face up to 5 years in jail if we lose a firearm and are convicted of the offence of losing a firearm. So I would suggest that you must put police officers on par with us, or us on par with police officers at the very least, because they're the enforcers of the legislation. The last point, and going back to Guy's presentation, is quite simply I wholeheartedly agree there's not a great deal of data that is either scientific or unbiased, so we need to do more research. And if we look at the Firearms Control Act, and I think this is something for the Portfolio Committee to consider very carefully, there are a number of mechanisms in the Firearms Control Act that obligate the police to report on their activities by way of submission of annual reports. And I'm not aware if any of those annual reports have been submitted at all, or if they've been submitted on a regular basis. So let's get the fundamentals of the legislation addressed first, before we start going and building more towers without proper foundations.
Thank you, Mr. Hood.